here in Newcastle, Delaware, researching the Reed and Ross families. It's also the site where William Penn landed and began to establish his colony here in America. Behind me is the Delaware River. At this site of William Penn's landing is where the Strand begins. Gunning Bedford's house on the left and the house next to it are good examples of what the architecture would have been like on the Strand during the 1750s. And these two homes were spared in the fire of 1824 that burned all the way down the street to George Reed's home. This large open lot is across the street from the site of George Reed Sr.'s home. And George Reed Jr.'s house that was given to the Delaware Historical Society in 1975. Now we'll take a little walk of how George got to work. This is the courthouse where George Reed practiced law for many, many years. This land is part of 1,000 acres that was set aside by William Penn for the citizens of Newcastle, Delaware, and it's still managed by his successors. Across the street is the market square where the town held their livestock and traded their agriculture. This is the church where George Reed's father-in-law, George Ross, was the rector for 50 years, Immanuel Episcopal, and he came from Scotland. George married Gertrude Ross. He met her here at the church because he was a parishioner, and they are buried here. all the patriots buried here at Immanuel Episcopal, and one of them is Gunning Bedford, who was George Reed's brother-in-law. George met Gertrude here at this church, and I'd like to think he would walk from here over to his future father-in-law's house. Go for a walk. At the time that the Reverend George Ross built this home in 1720, it was a single-family home, and the original door is probably the one in the middle, and the corner door was added later. And this is where George would have courted Gertrude. And they say that Betsy Ross visited this home. We'll see what it was like for George Reed to walk home after courting Gertrude at the Ross house. Another place George would have visited in Philadelphia is this building here, Carpenter's Hall, the location for the first Continental Congress. On the way to Independence Hall,
what the role of a national Supreme Court is. So imagine being in this room, folks, in the summer of 1787. If you think it was intense in 1776, it's even more intense, folks, in 1787, because we're already seeing crazy things in the Articles of Confederation. We can't continue with that. So
Another place George Reed might have walked to and visited is in Philadelphia at Betsy Ross's home. She is the wife of my first cousin, 7 times removed.